I love dinosaur survival games, and today I'm going to be ranking which ones I think are the best based on a variety of things I've decided in the past. Controls, graphics, fun, and customization. I put together a nice little tier list here for how we're going to be ranking these games. S tier is labeled as Yeehaw, because that's the best thing that you can get ranked as. A tier is pretty good. B tier is just kind of, sure, okay, I guess so. C tier is do you take constructive criticism? And D tier is empty because I forgot to add a little title to it, and I felt like that was fitting. The games that we're going to be ranking today are Beasts of Bermuda, The Isle, both Legacy and Evrima, Path of Titans, and Saurian. I went through and I played a bit of each of these games just to get a real good feel of how they all work. I've played some of these games before and then just haven't gone back to them because I didn't enjoy them, and others I've played a lot of. The first one that we're going to be ranking today is Beasts of Bermuda. I actually thought that the controls for Beasts of Bermuda were pretty good. I wasn't used to the hotkeys for any of the interactions, so I did struggle a little bit there, but otherwise they weren't bad. And I actually really liked the flying controls for the pterosaur dinosaurs. They were really intuitive and just kind of made sense. For controls, I think I'm going to put Beasts of Bermuda in the A tier. They're pretty good. The customization in Beasts of Bermuda is extensive. They have a whole bunch of different patterns that you can choose from, and I'm pretty sure every single color can be edited with a color wheel, so you can really get super crazy in depth with the kind of customization that you want for your dinosaurs. And that's really good. But the downside of it is you end up with a lot of really brightly colored dinosaurs, and I don't like that. It's actually kind of overwhelming, the amount of customization that you get. And you might feel differently about that. That's fine. I just think that it's kind of too much. I think I'm going to put customization in the C tier. While I was playing this game, I did actually have a pretty good time. I don't think I would go back to it, because I don't know a lot of people who play it, but yeah, it was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. I'm gonna put fun in A tier. Yeah, it was not bad. Last category for Beasts of Bermuda is graphics. I am not the biggest fan of the graphics. They did put through a recent update that made the water texture look really nice, but I feel like overall the colors of just everything in the environment are kind of oversaturated, and when it's mixed with the dinosaurs that have like really bright colors, it just ends up being kind of too much for me. So I'm gonna put graphics in B tier. They're not terrible, but I just don't super enjoy them. The next game up is the Isle Legacy. Now, I've played this game so much. I have played an astronomical amount of hours of this game, and I'm gonna try not to be biased, but I definitely like this game more than I like the other games. I think the controls in the Isle Legacy are really good. I think that they're very responsive, and I just enjoy them. I like that dinosaurs have specific turn radiuses and that they differ between each other. I've always just kind of enjoyed the controls of the Isle Legacy, so I'm gonna put that one in S tier. It's definitely my favorite. I do really like the graphics of the Isle Legacy, but I also feel like there are a lot of improvements that could be made to it. I know these improvements aren't going to happen because they're not going to be updating the game anymore, but I still feel like, you know, it's not the best, it's not the worst. I feel like it has a ways to go. So I'm gonna put the graphics in B tier. They're okay. They're not great, but they're alright. Actually, you know what? No, I changed my mind. I'm putting them in A tier. They're not overly saturated. They're easy to look at. I think they're pretty good. The next category is fun. This is kind of a mixed bag for me. When you're playing with other people and you're playing on a server that has like grows that you can buy, that's fun because you don't have to sit around for several hours and wait to grow a dinosaur. You can just get your dinosaur grown and then run around and hunt stuff. That's a lot of fun. But when you're actually playing the game without those things, it's kind of a slog. Some dinosaurs take up to like 8 hours, I think, to grow, and that's too much time. I don't have that amount of time to play a game. The majority of people that I know, when they do grow those dinosaurs, they just sit in a plant and watch YouTube videos over several days and slowly grow their dinosaur, and I don't think that's good gameplay. I think that's kind of that's kind of terrible. So yeah, so I think the growth times are a little too long. Those could be shortened quite a bit, and I don't feel like it would negatively impact gameplay. I'm going to put fun in B tier because I've had a lot of fun in this game with people, and I've also had like the worst time in this game, so I feel like just putting it in the middle is kind of the best place to put it. So yeah, that's where I'm putting that. And the last category is customization. I am a big fan of the customization in the Isle Legacy. I think that it's pretty manageable. You have a set of colors that you can pick from, and you can assign them to different markings, and I think that's cool. The thing that I don't like is that there's only one set of markings that you can choose from, so it makes it really hard to like make really unique skins come together, and not all the colors are consistently available across all dinosaurs and all markings. And I kind of feel like it would be nice if they were. A couple different skins would be nice, and having colors be available across all dinosaurs would be really appreciated. I'm gonna put customization in C tier because I don't think it's the best. I do like it, but I feel like it could do with a lot of improvements. Next game up is the Isle Evrima. I have played some of this game. It's basically the next version of the Isle that the developers have been working on. I wanted to have it in its own category because I feel like the games are very different. I feel like the controls for Evrima are actually worse than the Legacy version. They integrated being able to turn around on a dime just into the automatic controls of how you move, and I don't feel like it really integrates well. It makes animations kind of get stuttery at times, and it makes things stall almost. Like, if you're going to turn around and you're trying to turn quickly and you want to keep moving, sometimes it'll go into the quick turn animation instead of a running turn animation, and your dinosaur will just stop in place to turn around, and sometimes that's not very good for combat. It just they just don't flow very well. I know that they're still working on this. It's a big work in progress for them. We'll see how it gets better in the future, but I feel like the controls are not the best. They're pretty good, but they're not the best. And I also feel like their flight controls for their pterosaur are just not good at all. I really don't like the flight controls for the pterosaur. I don't think that they're very fun. So I think I'm gonna put controls for Evrima in the B tier. Not the best. They could be a lot worse, but they're, you know, I'm not a big fan of them. The graphics for Evrima are really good. I think the environments are beautiful. I think the water looks great. All the textures look really nice. My only critique really would be that sometimes there's too many plants in areas, and it makes it really hard to play the game or hunt things. You lose track of people really quickly in the forest, and that's kind of not fun. I don't really enjoy that part. I kind of want to be able to hunt people down if I'm hunting them. And yeah, I think the graphics are really nice though. Like, very pretty. Good lighting. Everything looks pretty nice. Nighttime looks a little weird, but I'm sure they'll improve on that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put graphics in A tier. I think they're pretty good. Next up is fun, and I don't know if I've had fun playing this game. It's not very forgiving of a game to play. It's kind of really easy to die to bigger things. Even when I've played with some friends, the only time that we've really had fun playing is when we're playing as the larger dinosaurs that are harder to kill because they're harder to kill. And I don't like the combat system. They changed it from the Legacy version. In Legacy, you could run through things. There was no collision between dinosaurs, and it made it easier to do, you know, maneuvers where people are working together. But in the Legacy version, they made there be a collision between dinosaurs, and it's not really consistent where the collision box is between dinosaurs. So you get stuck on each other a lot, and that's kind of irritating. I haven't had as much fun playing Evrima as I've had playing the Legacy, so I think I'm going to put fun in C tier, because I don't know. I've had less fun in this game so far, but it is also a work in progress, so it'll probably get better as time goes on. And the last category for Evrima is customization, which there is no customization, so I'm going to put that in D tier, but also, like, they might change it after a while. I'm sure they're going to implement customization after a while, so I don't think that's going to be where it will stay for me, but for now, there's no customization, so that's where it's going. The next game up is Path of Titans, and I've played a good amount of Path of Titans. I actually do really enjoy this game. I think it's pretty cool. For controls, I think they work well. I haven't really had any issues with messing around with the controls. I haven't run into anything that didn't seem to work properly. Everything was pretty responsive, so I think the controls are pretty good. I'm gonna put the controls up at A tier just because, yeah, I think they're great. I think they work really well. Next up is graphics, and I really like the graphics of Path of Titans. I think some of the dinosaur models could use some improving because a couple of them look kind of soft in some ways. Like they just don't have really defining silhouettes, I guess. But I think overall the graphics are really good. I think the environments are beautiful. It just looks really nice. I do feel like it's disorienting to play Path of Titans because you can't see very far when you are in certain environments, especially like wooded forests. You can't see far off landmarks, so it's really hard to figure out where you are sometimes. And they do have an in-game map, which is pretty cool because I don't think any of the other games have an in-game map, but it's kind of hard to use, and you end up really depending on the map and like the little compass to figure out where you're going, and that makes it, you know, you aren't paying as much attention to the environment as you are to your little compass, which is kind of a shame because like the environment's beautiful, and I'd much rather pay attention to the environment and use that for figuring out where I'm going than rely so heavily on a compass. I think I'm going to put graphics in A tier because I think they're pretty good. I think they're really nice. I have had a good amount of fun playing this game. I think it's okay, but I also feel like it's not the most rewarding to play. It kind of depends like who I'm playing it with and what we're up to, but yeah, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not excellent, but it's all right. I think I'm going to put fun in the B tier. Just, yeah, it's okay. It's pretty good. Now, this game has a really good amount of customization. I think they have kind of similar customization standards to Path of Titans. It's kind of a mix between Path of Titans and the Isle in the way that they chose to do customization, in that you have a bunch of set colors you can choose from, and you have set markings that those colors affect, but those colors are really limited. You only have 5 colors to choose from for each marking in each skin, and you'd think that that would be like, oh, that's enough colors, but it really isn't, and a lot of characters end up looking really similar to each other, and it's kind of hard to get markings and stuff that look unique unless you choose a different marking type. And I kind of wish that they would make it so that colors across the board were available for all marking types. I feel like that'd just be kind of cool. Also, everybody starts out with the same default skin to work with and default colors, and the only way to unlock more skins to use is to go and do quests and get experience points in the game, and I do like that. I think it's cool to have experience points in these types of games and have actually like a goal to work towards, but I feel like the goal being entirely cosmetic is just kind of, it makes it kind of boring, and it makes it so that like the only real goal in the game is to make your dinosaur look pretty, and the goals are kind of easy to reach, so like once your dinosaur looks pretty, there's nothing else really to do other than like meander around, I guess, and I don't think that's the greatest. So I'm gonna put the customization in the B tier because it's pretty good, and I feel like it has a lot of potential, but I feel like making it the only goal in the game is kind of, I just don't like that being the basis for how you get customization. I'd rather it just be all open from the get-go. And the last one that we're going to talk about today is Saurian. I bought this game entirely to make this video. I was just like, oh, I better go check out Saurian, even though I haven't heard anybody talk about this game. I better buy it so that I can record it because it's a dinosaur survival game. I might as well. And I don't know if it was worth it. First category is controls, and I think the controls in this game are not great. They're very unresponsive. Like there's a lag, there's like a delay in time when you ask your dinosaur to move in a certain direction and when it actually moves in that direction. So it makes controlling your dinosaur really just not very fun at all. Like, they only have 2 playable dinosaurs right now, the raptor looking one and like a triceratops, and I mostly played as a triceratops the first time around. Editing Hawk here. I did actually play this game a second time as the raptor, but the main water source nearby where I spawned was saltwater for some reason instead of freshwater, so I ended up dying pretty quickly. It was equally as fun as the triceratops version, which is to say not very. And just the controls were very slow. It did not feel snappy at all. Like, you would ask your dinosaur to do something, it would take like a full second or like a half a second or so for them to actually like do the movement that you asked them to do, and it was just, I don't know. I don't think the controls are very good, and also very anti-intuitive because the button for eating, the button for attacking, and the button for drinking are all the same, and when you're eating food and a friend dinosaur comes up to you and you don't click for the right length of time, you might just accidentally attack them instead of taking a bite of food. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that these 3 things should all share the same button. I just don't think that it is a good choice. So I'm gonna put the controls in the D tier because I don't like them. I think they're bad and they're laggy. Next category is graphics. And Saurian did not do good with graphics. Not high quality. I have a pretty good gaming computer. Like, my computer setup is pretty nice. It can handle kind of a lot. And when you first start up the game, it starts everything in low graphics, which is understandable, you know. A lot of games do that kind of thing, just so that, you know, when you load up the game, it doesn't crash your computer in case it can't handle the nicer graphics, which is cool. That's fine. But when I tried to change them to high graphics, it lagged my computer so much. Like, we went down to like, I don't know, 10 frames per second. The game really did not run well. So I had to go back to low graphics, and low graphics sure do look like low graphics. I don't know what's going on with these MS Paint clouds, but like, I don't think that they look very good. The trees, faraway trees, look really bad. The textures of the dinosaurs, even just close up, look like they're made on like 250 by 250 pixel images. Like, they just do not look good. And the lighting doesn't make sense constantly. There are just so many times where the lighting looks completely bizarre and kind of dreamlike. It's very, very weird. There are also times where it looks totally cool. Like there was this one time that looked really awesome, and they had like really neat music in the background and stuff. But overall, the graphics are really not good. They just look bad. There's no rocks on the wide expanse of land. It's just like a couple different trees and then a bunch of plants, and that's it. And the ground is really flat and doesn't have like a different texture or anything. So I'm gonna put graphics in D tier because I just think, oh, they don't look good. Like, the models themselves and the skins and stuff, they do look nice when they're rendered properly. But in low graphics, along with everything else, it has a lot of work to do. And the next category is fun. I played this game for probably like 4 hours, I think, and it was not very fun. It was very boring. When I got this game, and it had the tag on it saying that it was multiplayer, and it's not a multiplayer game. It is a single player game. The only other players in the game are AI, and they're not very smart. This is not a fun game. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoy single player games sometimes, but the fact that like nothing really happened in this game made it was just kind of boring, which is unfortunate. Even the time where I tried to attack a T-Rex at one point, and then the T-Rex just ran away from me. He like bit me once, and then he just ran away. He ran away forever, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll go sit next to a pond. I know they're going for realism, but I don't think that it's not fun. It's very boring. The fun category for Saurian is going in D tier. I'm sorry, it's just not fun. And the last category for Saurian is customization, which there is no customization. There is none at all whatsoever. You can pick whether or not you want to be a female or a male, but that's it. That's all the customization that you get. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in D tier. Looking over this now, I think I'm gonna switch the customization for Path of Titans to C tier, and I think I'm gonna put Isle Legacy to B tier because I feel like I want more out of this one. I feel like it needs more colors, and I feel like it needs to not be based on your experience points. And because the Isle Legacy has more colors to choose from, I like that one a little bit better, so I am going to put it in B tier, and also it's not tied to your experience points, so I feel like that's a little bit more workable. Some things I forgot to mention that I wanted to talk about for each of these games. So in Beasts of Bermuda, I really liked that they actually did have a stat tree in their game. Like, if you get experience points from doing stuff and adventuring around and discovering new areas, you can actually put those experience points into a stat tree to get better damage, or to be faster, or to be able to swim underwater for a longer amount of time. And that's really cool. I feel like that was such a neat thing for them to include, and I really wish that more games did it. Kind of a downside of Beasts of Bermuda is that their buttons and their menus and such are really hard to understand. Like, half of the buttons just look like designs on the borders of things, and they aren't actually like labeled as buttons. They're just like a little picture, which, like, I get it, they want to go for that cool Aztec kind of look, and I do really appreciate that they have an overall theme for that, but I just feel like the buttons are kind of hidden, and things are just the menus are hard to control and hard to navigate, and I'm not a big fan of that. So, like, I feel like that could be improved upon too. Some things that I forgot to mention about Saurian is that the music in the background is really good. Like, it definitely feels like they put a lot of... I think they did a Kickstarter. I can't remember if they did a Kickstarter or not, but it feels like they put a lot of their funds into the music that they have, because it's like a whole orchestra playing this music and it sounds really good, but the music cues are kind of weird, and they just come on and off very frequently and without any clear sign of why, but they do sound really cool, so I want to give them that. And then also, again, the models themselves, when not in the game, are beautiful. They're very well done, the textures are cool, and I really like them. And also another note, I didn't realize that this game was still being worked on, so hopefully it improves as time goes on. I know some of my criticisms of it were a little bit harsh, but that's because I thought it was like a mostly finished product. I'm sure it's going to get better in the future, and take my opinions on it with a grain of salt. Some things I forgot about Path of Titans is that the animations kind of feel stiff. They don't feel very alive, they just kind of feel very, just kind of stiff. The combat, when you're actually trying to fight things, is kind of weird and laggy. They do have collision between dinosaurs the same way the Isle Evrima does, and it just seems to kind of slow down the game when you try to fight other things, and I don't think that's very good. It just kind of makes it so that, you know, you get stuck on people, or you try and run through them and you get stuck on their side and then they turn and get you, and it is a downer for me, and that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't played it as much. The menus are also a little confusing. Like, they work well enough and they're less confusing than Beasts of Bermuda, but I'm not a big fan of how they work. They're just not super intuitive. Also, the water, there's a lot of water on the map, like all over the place, but the more animals that drink the water, the more it runs out. So a lot of time spent playing this game was just running around trying to find water, and that wasn't very fun. I don't know if I want to play a game where I'm just trying to find water because I'm dying of thirst, and every time I would get to a lake or something, it would just be like, the water quality too low, and I wouldn't be able to drink any of the water, and I was just like, come on, this is not the kind of gameplay I want to do right now. I wanted to go around and hunt people, but yeah, so that wasn't very fun. I understand why they did it, it's an interesting mechanic, but I feel like it shouldn't run out quite as fast. Some things I forgot to mention about the Isle Legacy: I really like the animations of all the dinosaurs. I feel like they're very fluid, very alive looking, they work really well together. Something I don't like about the Isle Legacy is the hitboxes for things are super broken. Like, oh my gosh, they are so very, very broken. Anyone that has played the Isle can tell you how broken they are, and you have to know exactly where the hitboxes are and the weird little quirks about them in order to do anything. competently in that game, and I feel like that's kind of not the best. I really wish they would fix the hitboxes, and I've noticed the same kind of issue happens in the Isle Evrima. They both don't have very good hitbox. Like, the hitboxes are broken. Also, in the Legacy version, there's no goal system, and there's no goal system in the Evrima version either. You just kind of try to stay alive as long as you can. So there you have it. That's what I think about these dinosaur games. I'll probably keep on playing the Isle Legacy until they stop supporting it and the servers go offline, and then I'm not really sure what I'll do. There you go. That's what I think. If you'd like to let me know what you think of these dinosaur games, please do in the comments. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you want to see anything specific, feel free to suggest it in the comments as well, because I'm always looking for new video ideas to do. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!